Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world. My name is Dr. DAAM. This is Adopted DAAM Podcast, episode 60, I believe. Yes, it's episode 60. This is the podcast, Great Society Podcast. It's been, I think, 2 weeks now since I last did a podcast. Traveling, life, medical stuff I've got going on. So it's been a while, I say. So it's getting back on the horse. Hopefully the horse will ride a little longer, and then I'll get off again, and then get back on. So it's not going to be as consistent as I initially wanted to, but it's the reality of life. Things are busy, things are going on, and I'm adjusting as time goes forward towards a level of engagement I can have on this platform. But it's part of understanding how you can balance time to optimize time optimization versus time management. You can get the most bang out of your buck for how much you can do in an hour versus how much you can do in a minute. So hopefully in the next 20 minutes I can speak cogently on a topic that I think I know I'm passionate about. It's about healthcare and sleep apnea machines. So if you've been following my podcast, I think at the start I talked about my passion for healthcare. I have a Master of Public Health from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I have a Master of Health Administration from Cornell, and I'll have a Master of Applied Biotechnology from University of Wisconsin-Madison. So my whole career over the last 8 years now, 9 years, it's been focused on healthcare and getting a much deeper understanding in it. So I focus a lot of my efforts, whether it's healthcare law, whether it's nursing, whether it's health administration, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's med device, whether it's, in this case, I work in health insurance benefits. So I have a fundamental belief in healthcare, and I like to ensure the fact that I live that belief system. So I constantly go to different doctors to get treated. I'm in my early 40s. I know this is people don't realize, but this time right now is the difference between you living to be 70, 80, 90. If you get yourself treated in your 40s, you understand your health factors, and you generally take care of your health to do those right things, you can live into your 90s and close to your 100. Even if you have to take medicines and so forth to do so, like high blood pressure pills, high cholesterol pills, and these other semaglutides and so forth. But you can live a long life if you do the right things. But a lot of folks are not aware of these things, and I have been lucky to become aware of them as I navigated University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I learned about the risk factors of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, different other things that can affect you metabolically. And I've also learned the risk factors from people's experiences. For example, I had a friend whose father passed away from renal failure. His kidneys collapsed, and it's due to the fact that his high blood pressure went out of control. And that's, most folks don't think about the fact that your kidneys can be damaged by high blood pressure. But it's one of those things. High blood pressure also causes stroke. High cholesterol causes stroke also. It also occludes the heart. So you got to get those things checked out early. And there's various tests you can do, especially in terms of cardiology, you can do a echocardiogram. You can do well, I'll step it up. You can do a stress test, echocardiogram, cardiac MRI, and then of course you can do a cardiac catheterization. As a final thing, just to see what the inside of the heart looks like versus what the externals are showing on a cardiac MRI. And if you have access to these resources, it's very helpful to take advantage of it if possible, especially if you have risk factors for these things. I freely admit that I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and sleep apnea based on military service. So it's a reality of my life, and I have to continue to monitor these things and take care of myself, especially as obviously a black man who have these risk factors. And I want to live a long life. I want to live to see my grandmother's age. She's currently 92 and she's continuing forward. So I'm going to work hard at it to ensure I take care of myself now and be there for my kids when they're older, hopefully for my grandkids or great grandkids. So if I do those things right now, I should be in the driver's seat. You can't predict what will happen in life, but you can take care of health and be very focused in, lasered in on the items you can take care of. And one thing I would advise, as we navigate these waters as we get older, is to take your medicine. A lot of folks think it's a weakness to live off medicine and so forth. I personally think it's a strength because it helps your body fight in a way nothing natural can fight. When I was in my 20s, I had high cholesterol in the 200s or whatever. I had high blood pressure, close to 150 after I came back from combat. Actually, it started in combat. All these things started in combat, and they just skyrocketed up based on the food and based on all the stuff we were given in our bodies and so forth. And then I got sleep apnea because of combat, being exposed to burn pits and so forth. But I only really got treated for the cholesterol and for the high blood pressure because those were the immediate needs. They were so skyrocketing. My sleep apnea got worse as I got older, and I eventually got treated for that. I'll talk about it on the next half of the podcast. But because I took action early, I likely saved myself, my heart, my brain from bad outcomes. And if you start early to understand these things, they help in terms of securing your well-being over a long term. And if I'm not active, if I'm not vigilant, I can be one of those folks who lose their lives early. I had a friend who lost his life early based on he had a very stiff heart. He was 40 years old, about to turn 41, and he lost his life just before his 41st birthday. And his heart had calcified. He was a smoker also too, so that sadly doesn't help. Smoking is one of the greatest risk factors for heart attacks and strokes, and people don't realize that. If you're a smoker, whether you're taking the cigarette or you're taking the other thing, what they do, those little blowing or whatever, you're putting carcinogens in your body. You're killing yourself. You might as well. You're damaging your heart. It's very hard to recover from a damaged heart. You can try, but it's very hard. The vessels in your body will start to thicken and the walls will start to thicken, and you will suffer maybe a heart attack or stroke. And that's not even factoring you may get lung cancer. But the first thing that'll go more quickly will be your heart. And once your heart goes, it's very hard to get a replacement. So healthcare is a passion of mine, and I focus in on that passion. Again, if you don't see my right arm moving, it's the fact that I had the procedure there to get my ticker checked out. But I wanted to talk candidly about how folks need to take care of their health, especially when they're into their 40s and their 50s. It should be done when you're 40s, even your 30s if possible, to start going through these routine treatments to understand the direction of your body. I came away with a clean bill of health, and that which is good for a 43-year-old male, black male who suffers from these various ailments. But that's based on the fact that I've taken care of myself. I started the process early. I started, navigating the intricacies of the healthcare system to ensure the fact that I got the best care possible from both the VA. Shout out to the VA, and also to my personal doctors at NYU Langone. Shout out to them also too. And it's been very helpful to have these resources on hand. I fully acknowledge a lot of folks across the United States, across the globe, don't have access to these various resources. They should. I believe healthcare should be a right, but different countries, different societies have different standards. So I have access, and I'm going to use it as much as possible, especially for my kids and my family, to ensure the fact that we have best health outcomes and we live really long lives. Because living a really long life is very achievable. And we just need to take care of ourselves and do the right things. Now let's talk about sleep apnea machines. I suffer from sleep apnea for many, many years since I was on active duty. I was diagnosed with it, but I never got treated for it by the VA, even though I kept on having these issues. I finally got fully acknowledged back in 2021 that it's a more bigger case than they thought, and I eventually got a sleep apnea machine in 2022. That has been transformative for my life, because before then I was having trouble sleeping, breathing, my heart was having issues, and my cognition had started to fall because your brain needs oxygen to breathe. And sleeping is part of that, helps that regulatory process in your body. And if you're not sleeping properly, if you're not breathing properly, your brain is actually suffering. And you can actually people can get Parkinson's disease and all these other neurological elements from lack of sleep, and oxygen deprivation, and so forth over the long term. So it's very incumbent on folks to understand how their body works. And I would say snoring is one of the things that's actually part of this sleep apnea process. When you're started out to whatever, that sleep apnea at work right there, along with your snoring. And individuals need to be treated for it. So I got my sleep apnea machine in 2022, and I've been using it every single night. I travel with it all the time. It's been very helpful for my health. It allows me to feel as if I sleep for 5 hours, I would feel that I've slept 8 hours. If I slept for 8 hours, I feel like I've overslept maybe 12 hours. So there are a lot of benefits for using sleep apnea machine. But one thing I've discovered is that folks, especially when you talk to doctors, do not use a sleep apnea machine because it's very uncomfortable, X, Y, Z. You gotta find the right fit for you. I had the small nose thing. Now I have the big mask because the small nose thing was not working. But I got the big mask. Big mask has been transformative. I sleep well. It's breathing in beautiful, cool air into your body, and you don't have any issues. I think my wife is very appreciative of that. And if you don't use your machine, your blood pressure is going to increase, your cholesterol is going to increase, various other things are going to increase, and you're going to have major issues over the long term. I remember at my appointment today when I went to the doctor to get my outpatient appointment in NYU Langone. I was telling the nurses how happy I was to be using a CPAP machine. And their response to me, "You're the first person that ever says that. Everybody else complains about their CPAP machine." To me, that's a problem. And I think the problem is compounded by the fact that there's a commercial now on television where a guy talks about you can use a special digital device that eliminates the use of the nozzles, the full mask or whatever, and it's like a sleep apnea anonymous kind of thing, which is crazy. But I personally think that kind of advertisement is wrong because folks need to use their CPAP machine and need to learn how to use it the right way. It's very helpful from my perspective. I'm biased towards the CPAP machine. But it creates a stigma when you have a commercial on television stating the fact that CPAP machines are something wrong, something negative, or whatever. Well, it's not really stating that, but it's stating the fact that using it is not the best or whatever. You can find other ways, which is fine. But for those folks who really need the machine and they're not using it, that's a way for them to get out of not using it, because that commercial said there's other options and I'm not getting those options, and so I don't really know how to use it and so forth. But it's about people's health. And if we choose to make light of a critical tool that helps people's heart, brain, and their general metabolical state in their body, we are doing a disservice to them. While this commercial didn't have a healthcare professional in it, only had some random dude saying you can get off your sleep app machine with another tool. There should have been some kind of healthcare professional saying, but this is what the value of the CPAP machine does. And I sometimes wonder, is that the gap? That folks don't truly understand the long-term impact of not using or caring to use their CPAP machine. So there may be a knowledge gap there. But as my wife would tell me, you can tell folks to the nth degree what will happen if they do X, Y, and Z, and they will still ignore you. So maybe it's not a function of informing folks, maybe a function of showing them. And that may change how they orient, or maybe also a function of use of the machine, how they're using it. I will say, as I just mentioned, the fact that I switched from the nozzle one, the nose one, to the full mask. And that's been very transformative to me, because I was still breathing through my mouth when I'm sleeping, and it was causing still not getting the full effect of the sleep apnea machine. So now I have the full mask, and it's been very transformative for me as a sleeper. And it's helping me to be more cogent, more aware, more productive, to have a better sleep based on that machine. And that's what I think has helped my heart stay strong and young and so forth, when it could be going sideways based on the fact I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and this sleep apnea, which are risk factors for, as I mentioned earlier, many things, especially heart damage. So I have a passion for healthcare. This is episode 60, and I wanted to express that passion. I want people to take care of themselves. And I want people to sit back and understand how they can be part of their own health process. Or I should say be more engaged, not sit back, but be more engaged in the health process. Take charge of their health. Do research. There's a lot of information on the web, WebMD, all those, Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic. Go to those websites and search on what the risk factors are if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and sleep apnea, and those other cardiovascular risks. If you get a chance, I to get a semaglutide like Wegovy, Ozempic, or Zepbound, take it. If you get a chance to be part of a health system like the VA health system, NYU Langone, Mount Sinai, UPenn Medicine, all these great institutions, and join them. Get specialists. Use a system to help yourself be healthy. Those doctors are there, ready and willing to help you. Don't shy away from it. Take your medicines. Don't skip your medicines. Skipping medicines are bad. I'm sorry to say that's plain and simple. There's a reason why you've been given that medicine. So, with all that said, take care of yourselves. Be happy, be merry. And I'll see you in the next podcast. My name is Dr. DAAM. This is Dr. DAAM Podcast, episode 60, Healthcare and Sleep Apnea Machines. Please like and subscribe to my podcast, and be safe all.